a ways to go, and we've got to keep going. And I couldn't agree more with Cornell. Despair is not helping us.
But I'll tell you what I do believe. If I get, my gray hair entitles me to say that 25 years ago I presided over similar events. And I do see somewhat of a difference, Mr. Kozel. We were, in those days, more into great society. Oh my God, look at the sins we've committed here. We're going to help you. With white, powerful, wealthy America. Now I hear more and more young people of Sister Soldiers' age bracket speaking out to say, we've got to do this ourselves.
People get the impression that when you're an activist that you don't also do business, that you aren't also involved in programs, that you don't also attend church. You can do all of these things and still see the savage inequalities and the evil of this society. And the reason why we speak clearly and fiercely and strongly about it is because if we don't, you have people suffering in silence who never get the opportunity to be on with Phil Donahue, who never get, see, we can't look at the world as the mayor of Washington, D.C., or as Cornel West, the author. You see what I'm saying? You got to look through the eyes of the majority of your children, how they see the world, what they feel, the pain that they experience, how they would, how they would define things.
We are forgetting.
The evil is all over. Right now in South Africa, African people are in a system of
This argument is the same as
Look at this dynamic. Look at this dynamic. Look at this dynamic. I want people to understand this dynamic. You have a black man over here.
Yes.
He didn't cut nobody. No, let me understand. He didn't cut this guy off over here. He didn't cut him off talking about he walked through the ghetto. I live in the ghetto. I will cut you off now. So now he didn't do that. You see, what I want you to understand is this: is that it's very important that when we speak, at least when I speak, okay, I'm going to speak the reality of black people who don't have a voice. There's no such thing as freedom of speech in America. Okay, and therefore, when this man could talk about building grassroots organizations and power bases, and Tony could talk about recycling programs, and not one of them could probably name one black political prisoner that's a consequence of trying to do those very programs. And then this sister tries to point out, see, I ain't gonna let you cut me off. This sister tries to point out some very basic and fundamental contradictions.
Is it possible that a cup of coffee between these various factions would allow all of us a meeting, a talk? Why the anger? Why?
You are interpreting intensity for hostility. And what I'm trying to explain to you is that if there's no freedom of speech in this country, when you do get to speak, you speak the truth, you speak clear, you speak fiercely, and you don't care whether you like it or not.
Right. Yes, Dr. Keese.
I just want to say very briefly, the people who are really forgotten, sure, I think the people who are forgotten, especially in the black community, there are a lot of people out there who go to work, who take care of their families, who raise their kids. They are the people who are silently struggling against the odds, who have respected decent values, who have gone out, they haven't committed crimes, they are not in jail. The vast majority of black people have always been decent working class people, and I think that they are also the heroes of the struggle. I think they are also people who deserve our respect. I think they're also people who deserve a voice that will speak from their silence that nobody else is going to. And I don't care who calls me names. I will speak for my parents. I will speak for the people who did everything against the odds to bring decent folks into the world, who didn't commit the crimes, who just did the dirty jobs that nobody else would do so that we could move forward. I'll speak for them any day of the week.
I understand the anger. The anger is real, legitimate, and well-founded.
But it extends to you. It goes to...
Oh, I think that's part of the pain and anguish of our system. That so often that anger gets self-directed at our own community. And quite frankly, as I said earlier, to me it ultimately suggests that we give more power to the man than we give to ourselves. And I, for one, believe that we have the capacity, in spite of the odds, to be an oasis of hope, as Cornel West has pointed out, but in no way should that mean there should be any abdication of responsibility on the part of white America. White America owes us a lot, and I'm not going to walk away from demanding what she owes us.
You wanted to say?
Yeah, I want to say this word. I mean, just speaking personally, that I'm part of these kind of conversations all the time and have been part for 25 years. When I hear Brother Jihad put forward his view, I've heard that view. I can embrace the insights. I can criticize what I disagree with, but I'm looking for any insights I can. Same is true with Sister Soldier. The spirit of resistance that she has. Without that spirit of resistance, the hope that I'm talking about would be dead in the black community. Though I may disagree with a whole host of other claims she makes. So it's not in that sense viewing it as hostility. This is struggle. There's a sense of urgency. But I think I'm right. And I think I'm right in this sense, that after we move together looking for ways in which, not just justice, but self-affirmation of humanity, sense of self-confidence, all of those intangibles that are part and parcel of race and racism in America, that one will find that one will have to hook up with other human beings who are willing to take the risk and make that leap for the higher moral good.
May I ask briefly from the panel, and I beg you to be brief, where are we going now? Give us your own prescription here as to what should be done. May I please ask the entire panel to speak to that?
Well, no matter what the disagreements are, one common thread is clear. Power must be removed from the hands of centralized institutions and put back at the base of the pyramid in the hands of people at the grassroots. Whatever your analysis, everybody who has spoken here today, I think, comes to that common conclusion, and we've got to work to make it happen.
Thank you for your brevity, Dr. Nathan.
I think we've got to build new, strong institutions in the community. They're out there. We can help them. We're doing it. We can do it better.
Mr. Soldier, please.
To the African youth, that you have to educate yourself. Don't depend on black leaders because most of them are insincere. And don't depend on white America to embrace you because it will not.
Mr. Kozo.
I think white people have to spend more time talking about the injustices which we perpetrate. I'd like to see some books written in the future, not about the problems of the underclass, but about the psychological distortions of the people who created that underclass.
Ms. Smith.
I would agree and say that many veils have to be lifted, and this is why I originally started my remarks by saying that I think the issue of race is more than a black and white issue, so that we need to hear from more people because it is very complex.
President Silver.
I think the Founding Fathers were quite correct in noting the inadequacy of human nature and the importance of the division of power. For that reason, I agree with Alan Keyes that we've got to divide power and put it back in the hands of as many as possible.
Mayor Kelly.
I think America is on top of a powder keg that could tear us to smithereens, or we can begin to invest in our diversity and make us a real force in the 21st century, but we're going to have to start making that decision quickly.
I think that the foremost message that we have to address is that white America has to come to grips with its own conscience and its own moral corruption.
Mr. Monroe.
I think that while black people can and should do more for themselves, and while we have to look for coalitions, we must demand that the government of this country treat all of its people, provide opportunities for all of its people at the same level.
Mr. Brown.
Black people and white people are basically the same. Most of us are average. We have a few geniuses and liberal sprinkling of fools.
Mr. West.
Democratic ideal is the most precious ideal in the world, but it's the proximate solution to insoluble problems, and therefore the cure for democracy is more democracy, and black people must always be democratic in form and content in their organizations and shoot for democratic ideals so that ordinary people can live lives of decency and dignity.
From the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center in Cambridge, Massachusetts, I am pleased to say on behalf of all those here gathered, a note of thank you and appreciation to those of you who stayed with us for this very, very serious undertaking, and to say on behalf of public television, we are pleased that you joined us. We hope that you found these 2 hours worth your time, and we say to you, farewell.